speaking more on resubmitting your more grant resubmission strategies, and this will be led by Meshach. So I will hand over this session to Bernard, my colleague, who will come in and tell you more about our program, which is the ARSH program. And then later on, he will be able to introduce our guest for today. So thank you so much, and welcome, Bernard.
Yeah. Thank you, Topista, for this opportunity to be able to share more about the initiative that has made this webinar possible. That is the Afrique Research Support Hub. So to begin with, my name is Bernard Ondiek, and I work as the training coordinator for the Virtual Learning Academy within African Population and Health Research Center, that is APHRC. So just a little background on APHRC. So at APHRC, our vision is transforming lives in Africa through research. That's our vision. And then our mission is basically generating evidence, strengthening research, and related capacity strengthening in the Africa R&D ecosystem, and also engaging policy to inform action on health and development. And we are doing this so that we are able to use research to transform lives. And how is this possible? So from the evidence from the research is used basically in decision making, and this is normally directly or indirectly. And this research is done more by people, and the evidence is used by the same people. So the people doing the research use that expertise to support decisions. And these decisions affect them directly or indirectly, thereby impacting their lives. So some of the decisions include policies that is new and change, improved, and operationalization. Then the impact also could influence the way programs are designed, implemented, and improved, how budgets are being allocated, how service delivery takes place, how practice and guidelines, how people use tools and innovations. And at the end of the day, it also impacts individual and also community behavior. So at APHRC, we've positioned ourselves as enablers of R&D ecosystem, catalysts, and we have projects in 35 different countries, as will be shown in this screen. So if you look at this screen, you realize that our presence is in quite a number of countries, and we are normally operate in 3 programmatic areas. That is research, policy engagement and advocacy, and also capacity strengthening. So anything that we do in APHRC will fall into those 3 areas. Either someone is doing research, or they're doing policy and engagement and advocacy, or they're doing capacity strengthening. And for us to be able to have this, to be catalysts in this, we have a partnership with various stakeholders, and our partnership model could be formalized, long-term, default, or maybe mutual learning and capacity strengthening. So one of the areas or units with divisions within the African Population and Health Research Center is the research and related capacity strengthening, where this initiative stands. And the RRCS, as we call it, is classified into 3. We have the individual capacity strengthening, which tries to strengthen the technical, interpersonal, and interpersonal aspects of individuals' capacity. Then we also have the institutional capacity strengthening, which basically tries to strengthen institutional capacities to collaboratively develop and enhance systems, structures, processes, and at the end of the day, this promotes research and development in Africa. Then we have research and development ecosystem. This one mainly tries to strengthen support structures, regulatory frameworks, and linkages for African research institutions and researchers. And the reason why we have this is to ensure that researchers become critical voices and drivers of the development agenda within Africa. So if you come to the research and related capacity strengthening, you'll basically find those three units: the individual capacity strengthening, institutional capacity strengthening, and R&D ecosystem unit. So this initiative that has made sure that we have this webinar is what we are calling the Afrique Research Support Hub. And it is actually sponsored by, it's sponsored by the Wellcome Trust. And it's an Africa-centric research support hub, and that provides practical research and grantmanship skills, which are required to conceptualize research and successfully fundraise for it. And this initiative is carried within 3 regional satellites. So we have a satellite in West and Central Africa, which targets both English and French-speaking participants. We also have the South African regional satellite, and we also have the East African satellite. And we hope that this initiative will go from 2024 last year until 2027, which is actually a 3-year learning partnership. And within this initiative, we provide access to study and also access to resources, mentorship, light training, and also intense training, which is actually done mainly for the people who are post-PhD participants. They're the ones who actually undergo this intense training with protected time. And this program basically targets various audiences, and the aim of these audiences is to be able to ensure that they are able to build capacity. And we either do it through our virtual learning academy, or we do it through face-to-face, as I'll be able to demonstrate briefly. So this is the path that we follow. So we are targeting both early and mid-career researchers, and we can divide them into 2. We have the postgraduate and pre-doctoral researchers who fall under the early career, and then we also have the postdoctoral researchers. So once we do a call, the ones who fall under early career researchers will actually undergo these 3 areas of capacity strengthening. So they'll be able to interact in monthly webinars. We also have self-paced training courses that we advertise. We will have facilitated training courses, and then we also have community of practice. And the reason why we have this is so that everybody has something that they are able to do. Then for the postdoctoral researchers, they have the ability to attend face-to-face training and mentorship. And these ones, we do them in regions. We've already done the one for East African region. So now we are headed to the West African, and then we'll be moving to the South African region. Then these participants are normally matched with mentors for a period of 12 months. And then the ones who are successful are normally given seed grants that they can be able to use to implement the grant proposal that they've refined. So we did a call for participation in our e-course hosted within our virtual learning academy. And in this advert that we do, or this call that we did, we're able to get close to 6,000 interested participants. And out of this, 58% were male and 42% were female. Then this is actually the distribution of their field of study. So you'll find that this field of study, medical sciences, had the most members, followed closely by social sciences, which had around 25%. Then we also had the arts and humanities. We also had the biological sciences. So that's how we distributed these participants. So we didn't give an opportunity to all these interested participants, but we decided that we are going to offer the course in cohorts, and we've already done the first cohort. We've done the second cohort, so we'll now be offering the third cohort. And these cohorts will be selected from the participants who showed interest in the courses. So what happens, the first phase is we enroll participants in cohorts for a course. Then they're able to go through the course. And once they finish the course, they write a grant proposal, a concept. This concept is reviewed within the cohort. So the peer review is done. So each person reviews another person's concept. Then we select the best concepts. So the best concepts are taken to the next phase. And in the next phase, we look at how the concept has been written, whether the participant has a PhD, and then the successful ones are now taken to this phase called the facilitated learning. And at this level, they get face-to-face training, but via technology. So we use technology such as Zoom to be able to take them through this. And we use this phase to be able to refine further the concepts that the participants have written. So out of the 100 that we selected, we have 7 finalists who will now be taken to this level of facilitated training. So again, we'll again give an opportunity to another 100. Again, we expect to get several participants out of that, and then we'll combine all of them so that they can be able to have one class whereby they are going to be taken through. Now, how do you engage us for the participants who didn't get an opportunity to apply? They're getting to learn about this project right now. So we still have ways in which you can join us. So we have other courses that you can access in our virtual learning academy. A link will be shared on the chat for you to be able to access some of our courses. And then we also have a community of practice platform whereby you are able to interact with other participants. And this is to enable you to ask those difficult questions that you have in the areas of grant writing. And you'll be able to find subject matter experts who are going to explain to you the areas that you have. And again, if you are a subject matter expert, you also have an opportunity to be able to explain concepts to the participants who are within the community of practice. So again, you'll be able to get a link on the chat on how you can be able to access our community of practice platform. And one good space that you'll be able to access is the grant writing. It's actually among the communities that we have within the community of practice platform. So the first thing you'll do when you get the link, actually this is the link, cop.aphrc.org. When you click on it, you should be able to have an opportunity to log in if you had registered before. But if you have never registered, you'll be expected to create an account. And once you create an account, you can go back and select a community of choice. And I hope that you're going to pick the grant writing, which is actually one of our popular communities. Then once you are in that grant writing community, do a self-introduction. And again, this is the place whereby you need to brand yourself well. Because when you brand yourself well, a colleague will be able to find you, or maybe somebody wants to do a joint proposal and they're looking for somebody who can be a good fit for them to have a winning proposal, then they can be able to select you from that community of practice. Then After you've done self-introduction, you can now start engaging through asking questions. And if you have answers, you can also present them so that we can be able to enrich each other and build more expertise. Then good news is that we are now coming up with a mobile app for the community of practice. So we'll be having a launch very soon in the week of the first week of July. We'll communicate. We'll be having a launch of our enhanced virtual learning academy platform and our mobile apps so that you are able to access our system with ease. Yeah, so thank you so much for listening to me. So now I'm going to move to the next stage, whereby I'm going to invite our panelists or our speaker for the day. And our speaker is none other than Meshak Mbui. So Meshak is a dynamic development and fundraising professional, and he has more than 10 years experience in grants acquisition, business development, project management, and also strategic partnership. He is critical in supporting business development processes and collaborating with researchers to review and update critical business development documentation. Meshak holds a Master of Science in Education for Sustainability from London South Bank University, a bachelor's degree in Environmental Studies, that is a community development option from Kenyatta University. He has a certificate in fundraising management from Indiana University, and is currently pursuing another master's of public policy and administration at Kenyatta University. Meshak has experience across multiple domains, including institutional, corporate, philanthropic, fundraising, partnership development and management, proposal development and donor engagement, project management, grants compliance, capacity building, fundraising strategies, asset development. And one of the most recent role that he has had is being the institutional partnership manager at SOS Children's Village in Kenya. And here he actually drove a profound commitment to social change, and is also dedicated to contributing to the development of sustainable funding solutions for mission-driven organization. So his work supports programs that create meaningful, transformative impacts in community. So finally, he's an enthusiast for modern technical skill learning and is passionate about networking, and he'll be sharing more with us about his fundraising knowledge, among others. So with that, let's give virtual claps as we welcome Meshak, and feel free to put in your questions on the chat. And once we are done with the presentation, we'll give a few of you an opportunity to be able to ask questions by allowing them to be able to speak. So welcome, Meshak, and over to you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Bernard. Also, just to add, and I'm really pleased to meet everyone virtually, just to add that I am currently at APHRC as a Senior Business Development Officer, and I support a unit that is called Health and Wellbeing Them. Thank you. So this presentation is going to be about grant writing for early career researchers. And specifically, there could be more that we can talk about with regards to that, but we will be focusing on grant resubmission strategies. From where you see it, resubmission should basically mean that you're submitting it again or for the second time. Because submission is the first times when you submit something for the first time. So resubmission strategy is where we are focusing on reviewing and resubmitting a proposal or a grant proposal that you had submitted before to a donor. So I'll start by quickly going through the table of contents. So the first thing that we'll do will be to provide context. We'll also try to understand the review ecosystem of grant applications. Then we will look at how do you strategize your resubmission. We will also look at how do you improve your proposal for resubmission. We will also look at some practical tools and takeaways, and we will look at the final tips. Now, I need to get something out of the way, as I've suggested, that when you are resubmitting, you are basically submitting again a document or a grant proposal that you have submitted before, which means it's been rejected in the first round of application, and you're reviewing it to resubmit again. But I think it's in terms of setting the context, it's really important to mention that the reviews are not really comprehensive. So you will get reviews of your grant application, but one thing to keep in mind is that it's not comprehensive. Maybe they have just picked, the reviewers have just picked a few areas that they want to look at and give you feedback on. Also, it's important to understand that reviewers are only human. They are like you and me. You know, you are an expert in the field you're in. And when you review a document, you're giving the feedback as a human. So reviewers are just like us, only that they are, you know, have that ability, and they are in that position where they've been tasked with a responsibility of reviewing grant applications. Sometimes a poor program or panel fit will lead to a poor review of a good proposal. And I guess what we're saying here is you could write a very, very good proposal that even your peers will tell you this is an excellent proposal. But when you submit it and it goes for review, then it will not score good marks because of maybe a panel fit. Because of a panel fit, it will not get you good marks. Also, it's important to know that no two reviewers agree on everything. There's no time reviewers will agree. This reviewer will tell you this reviewer will tell you, will give you different feedback. And reviewers will always find flaws in your grant applications. But what you need to avoid is the fatal flaws. You know, the kind of flaws that they look at and they just discard the application because it cannot even go to the next level of review. Not all reviewer comments are created equal. I think that comes from the fact that reviewers are human and reviewers also don't agree on everything. So even the comments that you will get from the reviewers will not be the same. You will realize that some proposals will receive worse reviews on resubmission. So you've received your comments on your grant application, you've revised and you've addressed the reviewer comments. When you take it when you resubmit it, it gets even worse reviews. So these are things that we have to keep in mind. But more importantly is if you do resubmissions enough times, sometimes you will receive a resubmission review that is in direct conflict with the original review. That also ties in with the point I've just talked about. And lastly, addressing reviewer comments does not guarantee anything. So you will address the comments, you will resubmit. It doesn't mean you will be funded. Still, you might not, your research may still not get funded. So it does not guarantee anything that you've reviewed and resubmitted. In terms of introduction, I have a graph here that it is from the NIH data book, it talks about research project grants, applications, awards, and success rate. Now you need to look at the long blue lines. Those are the applications. Then the short blue lines, those are the awards. Then the success rate, you can see how the success rate is moving in terms of the red color. It is important to see also this graph. I thought it would be important to have this. Looking at an analysis of 2020 to 2024, number of R01 submitted applications to NIH, the numbers that were awarded equate the success rate that you can see. So imagine 36,250 applications submitted, they only award 7,700. That's 21% success rate. However, we need to keep in mind that this success rate does not translate to the actual number of organizations or projects that receive funding. This is just the ones that are reviewed, reviewed and scored positively. So it's also important to note this presentation that I'm making is based on NIH guidelines, and I did not want to use any other donor because I think NIH would have given us more to learn from. So most proposals, what we call the A0, are rejected. These are the new proposals, the renewed applications. So you already have funding, but then you're asked to submit for renewal or reviewed applications. Those ones, when you submit them, they are new applications and they are tagged A0. So sometimes, or most of them are rejected, which means they're not selected for funding. Actually, up to 80% of the time. But you'll be surprised that NIH fund 5 to 10% of scored and selected applications. So you see the 20% that you're seeing as success rates are grant applications that have been selected for funding. But that does not mean this is the number that will get funding. The number that will eventually get funding is actually 5 to 10%, because they also have to weigh all other options, their priorities, and select. And this now will be the role of program officers in this donor agency to select out of the 20% of applications that they've been given, which ones will they support. NIH data shows that resubmitted applications, so resubmitted applications are called A1s. They are called A1s. When you resubmit, it is designated A1. So they have a significantly higher success rate than first submissions. For example, in 2022, while A0 applications were 19.2, A1 applications resubmissions were actually 32.6. So this tells you that it is really, really important to be able to resubmit your application if you get rejected or if it gets rejected. So should your A1 go unfunded? I think I also need to mention this. A1, we've agreed that A1 are the resubmitted applications. So should this one also go unfunded, you can still resubmit it as a new application, maybe a year or two later. Sometimes they call it virtual A2. So it means you submitted A0, you resubmitted A1, still not funded, you can still resubmit that another time. I want to speak quickly about why sometimes grants can be rejected, and why grants can get rejected sometimes is when your application has poor fit with a funding call. And this could be issues, misalignment with regards to funders' priorities, their scope, or evaluation criteria, which eventually means that your application will get low scores. Also, if it is unclear or unfocused, it has unclear or unfocused research aims. So you'll realize most of the times your research aims do not align with your hypothesis or other or different components of your application. So this also is a very serious reason why a grant may be rejected. Insufficient preliminary data or rationale. Most of the time, you will find yourself in a situation where you need to respond to a grant and submit, but you do not have preliminary data. And that is the reason why your research grant may not be funded. Of ambitious or unrealistic scope. Sometimes you've presented a grant, and when they review it based on the budget and scope, then they realize these people cannot do all this work with this amount of money. So, or these people cannot do all this work in this geographical space with this amount of money. Then they say your application is overambitious. Sometimes applications are rejected because they have weak methodology or a poor study design. Sometimes it's inadequate team or missing expertise. Maybe you've listed the PI, the co-investigators, but when they review the whole application and they review the team that you've put together as the PI and co-investigators, then they realize that there is a missing expertise. And they will definitely in their review tell you, add somebody with this expertise. Also, sometimes it's poorly written or hard to follow proposals. Sometimes poorly written proposals make it very difficult for the reviewers to follow. And when they cannot follow, they will struggle and eventually they will give low marks. So those are some of the reasons why a grant may get rejected. But also, I think when we are thinking about grant resubmissions, one of the things that we need to agree on is that rejection when you submit an application is very common. It is part of your academic life, and it is part of a researcher's career or research career. Rejection is also an opportunity for you to learn from your mistakes. Resubmission in and of itself is a vital skill because it will strengthen your research eventually. We need to also understand the reviewers who review your applications, your grant applications, are actually collaborators. They are on the same side as you. They are volunteers who dedicate a lot of their time to review grant applications because they're interested also in seeing how the field that they are in can also grow. So they are very enthusiastic in their review process, and they're not an opposition to you. They are on your side. And what they offer you is actually valuable feedback that can help you to strengthen your application and resubmit. It is really important to adopt a growth mindset because with that, you can improve and resubmit your application with confidence and purpose, but also think about who else can help you. If you are the PI or a co-investigator, look who else can you bring on board to help you with the review process so that your application is definitely stronger than what you submitted at first. But what you need to know is that grant proposal rejection does not mean that your ideas, science, or you as a researcher is no good. It definitely means that maybe there's just a small issue with your application that if you tweak or address, then your application may be granted funding. So let me just mention also that grant writing or resubmission skill is very important to any person who is starting out in their career as researchers, because I think it is important for you to grow as a researcher. You need to secure funding. You need to secure funding to start your research career and have projects that you're working on. This skill is also important because then it can build your scientific reputation and track record. Right now, there are people who are in their 40s or 30s or 50s who have a track record because of the reputation that they have built based on the research that they have done. And the research they have done, they did not just sit somewhere for somebody to bring them money. They actually sourced, wrote grant applications and got funding to do those research activities. Having this scale is also critical as it deepens your understanding of peer review and scientific communication. Most of the time when you can read reviews from the reviewers, when you get feedback from the reviewers and you read it and internalize it, then you can begin to deepen. When a reviewer says this, what do they actually mean? So you have to read in between the lines and try as much as possible to understand what they mean, how are they communicating, and that. Also, it's a skill that can boost career progression and academic competitiveness. Really, without without having the skill to source for funding, I think your career as a researcher can get stuck. It also cultivates resilience and strategic thinking. So I think it was important to also mention that. But let me also quickly go to how the review process actually works so that we are on the same page. So initially, when it starts from when you submit an application. So you submit an application through, maybe if it is NIH, their platform, they will do an initial check for completeness and eligibility. So this is where they look at administrative things, whether you've completed the application the way they expect. If not, they will put it aside. Or if you're missing some documents, they'll put it aside. The other part is administrative review. At this point, the funder has a team that screens all applications for technical requirements. So technical requirements is where you've filled all the necessary technical components of the application. So if it is incomplete or it is non-compliant, then definitely it is going to be rejected without review. Then the third step is assignment to a review panel. So when your proposal has everything, then it's assigned to a review panel, a scientific review panel or even a study section based on their subject matter. There's usually two review levels of reviews, but some donors have 3 levels. So there's the primary review where an individual sits down and look at an application, and so they can assign it to 3 people who individually review and score. Then also secondary reviewers do the same. Then the individual reviewer evaluation. So each reviewer, once they have been assigned the proposal, each reviewer will score the proposal independently based on 5 criteria: significance, innovation, approach, investigators, and the environment. And they will share their written critiques. So this is the feedback that they will give after they have reviewed your application. They give written critiques. Written critiques at this point is based on what they have seen in your application as strengths and weaknesses. Then number 5, the 5th stage is now a panel meeting discussion. So once the individual reviewers have done their part, then they will go to a panel discussion. So the panel discussion will review the application. They will also review the comments from the individual reviewers, and then they will give final scores. And proposals that have low preliminary scores will be triaged. To be triaged means they will be put aside at that point. They will not go to the next level. Then the next stages is summary statement issued and also program review and funding decision is made. So the sixth stage is once after the panel meeting, as discussed, they will now write a summary statement. So the summary statement is what you get as part of your as part of the main review that is done in the proposal. So you get a summary statement. In the summary statement, they list the reviewer comments, the priority score, final recommendations. And it is important to note that this is your resubmission strategy. This is a document that is very critical in guiding you in your resubmission strategy. At this point, even program officers at these donor institutions also use the feedback from the panel discussion. They use the summary scores for funding decisions, and they might consider other things when, like maybe their priorities or your geographical scope. There's just quite a number of things they will consider, but it will not be technical things. It will be things that they feel align with their funding priorities. So then at this point, maybe by the time you're getting the summary statement issued, then perhaps you have got a good score and you're proceeding to get funding, or and now the program officers comes and says, we will not fund all the 7,000 applications. We will fund only 6,000, and yours could be part of the 6,000. Yours could be part of the 1,000. It's important to also look at what reviews do and don't tell you. What reviews can tell you, when you receive review feedback from the reviewers, there are things that you can quickly glean from the comments. Whether you can understand how the reviewers interpreted your proposal, you can understand your major, your grant application's major strengths and weaknesses. You can also see the perceived fit and feasibility. You can also see whether there are fatal flaws, if there is any, and you can also sense that they are giving you signals for improving the proposal. And that is, they give you that based on the comments that they give in during the reviews. But what the reviews will not tell you is everything that was wrong with your application. That will never happen. And you remember when we started, I indicated that the reviews are actually not comprehensive. So the fact that they're not comprehensive, the reviews you get will not tell you everything that is wrong with your application. Also, we said that reviewers are human. It will be very difficult to get reviewers agreeing on everything. You will also not see the true merit of your idea. It's not like they will award you 70 over 100, so that you see how much how does your idea, research idea, what is the merit of your research idea. Also, you will not get information on how close you are to getting funded. The review will not tell you that. And also, the review will not tell you whether to resubmit or start the application afresh. This is a decision that you make on your own. The common reviewer comments that are usually contained in the summary statement that I've spoken about is usually categorized into these different areas: lack of significance, where they are saying the research seems incremental and does not significantly advance the field. They can also say that your proposal is unfocused. You remember when we were talking about unfocused and unclear objectives and aims, specific aims. So they will say your proposal is unfocused because the aims lack a clear and unified story. They will also tell you that your application is overambitious. You propose too much work for the time frame and for the budget. You also they will also tell you whether you need more preliminary data. We've talked about that. If you do not have preliminary data, what do you need? What are you supposed to do? We will see some of this in the next few slides. then if the investigator lacks expertise, what are you supposed to do? So that tells you require collaboration with someone who has the missing expertise. Here I have some comments that have come from applications that we've done at APHRC. So they are definitely just a replica of what I've discussed. So I'll skip this slide. You see there's lack of preliminary. This is review and comments that have come from applications that we've done at APHRC. Some we were told lack of preliminary data, weak methodological design, insufficient innovation, missing key expertise and ethics and inclusivity concerns, weak justifications of setting. So these are some of the comments that we've received when we've done applications to NIH and other NIH institutes. Now, once you've received the comments from the reviewers and you have the comments, you have the summary statement, you will have to make a decision whether you want to resubmit or whether you want to reboot or reboot, do the application afresh, or you want to just revise and resubmit. Remember when we talked about A1 submission, A1 is the resubmission. A0 was a new application. So A1, when do you decide to do a resubmission? So you do a resubmission when reviews show minor to moderate weaknesses, when concerns are clear and addressable, when funding opportunity is a good fit or is still a good fit. And we've also seen that resubmissions have higher success rate and you will have the benefit of the reviewer feedback. Imagine when you are resubmitting, you already have the reviewer feedback that is now helping you to strengthen your application. Why not resubmit? We've seen resubmissions, you stand a chance of up to over 32% of getting funded. So resubmission is very, very critical. And when you get negative or reject feedback from the funder, you should not shelve that application. You should find a way to review it based on the comments or the reviewer concerns, and then resubmit it. A0, when do you decide to submit it as a new application once you've received, once it's been rejected? So if your resubmission was rejected and the opportunity allows reapplication as new, you should do that. Reviews are conflicting or unclear, making a clean slate more strategic, and you're aiming for different timing or funding cycle. This is why I was saying that you can wait for 1 or 2 years to resubmit, to submit the application as a new application, not as a resubmission. So at this point, it will be treated as a new application with the new reviewers. So you'll even get new reviewers. But when you resubmit, there is a very, very high likelihood that your resubmitted application will be reviewed by the same people who made comments on it in the first application. This is also a chance to now reframe the proposal without constraints of prior review. Sometimes you can decide that you will look for new funding mechanism or a new funder. You will realize that most of the time, once you've done an application, it's not gone through. You will need to take this application and look for another funder that can fund it, or resubmit to the same funder, but under a different funding mechanism. So this is also something that is very, very possible in the landscape of doing applications. So this definitely, you increase your chances by aligning with a better suited review panel or funding priorities. So when you get your rejection, when your grant application is rejected, what are the first steps that you need to take? First of all, you need to read and understand the reviews, the comments that are come from the reviewers. You need to read and understand what are they saying. Read between the lines. understand as much as possible. If there is anything that you're doubting, look for your peers or other co-investigators and other researchers in your field to help you just go through it, to ensure that you understand all the comments that they have sent back. And you need to start with the summary statements because it's usually the one that give you a top line of what you need to respond to. Remember, much as they give broader comments, the summary statement is where they summarize everything that you need to respond to. But this does not stop you from going into the application and making changes in different sections of the proposal. Then reread your proposal again. Based on the reviews, you need to look at your proposal again, reread it, and try to see if they're giving me this comment. Maybe they're saying you do not have, there's a missing expertise. Then you go to the investigators section or research team section, look at who did you have. But definitely in the reviews, they will tell you what expertise is missing. So you'll be thinking about how can I get someone who can fill that gap. Then you need to assess your options. Is your application best as an A1, which is a resubmission? Is it best as A0, which is to a new application, or is it best for a new funding mechanism or even to a new donor? You have to assess all your options so that you work on something, one strategic thing as you respond. You also need to contact the program officer at the donor institution. You can ask for their opinion on the score and the reviewer comments, and even seek clarification if there is confusing feedback. You might get feedback on the summary statement that is really, you're not understanding it, and you're asking other people and they're also not understanding it. This is a chance for you to contact your program officer in the donor agency and ask them to clarify something that is confusing to you. You can also ask their insights on whether resubmission is advisable. So again, as you assess your options, whether to resubmit A1, you need to ask your program officer whether resubmission is advisable, or whether sometimes they will tell you wait and submit next year as a new application, or resubmit at this time when another similar funding window opens, or maybe there's still time to resubmit within the notice of funding opportunity. You can also ask them what the context on how close your application was to funding. This is something that a program officer can tell you. Remember, we said that you will not know, the review will not tell you how close your application was to funding. But if you talk to a program officer, they will tell you you were this close. And if you work on these comments and give attention to this area, you stand a higher chance to get funded. And this is also important because you're building a relationship with this program officer. The program officers can advise you on choosing between A1, A0, and a new mechanism. They can also advise you on reviewer dynamics and panel fit. Sometimes the panel, as we had indicated, if there is a lack of panel fit, you may get bad reviews or bad score. So then they can also tell you about the timing and funding cycle of opportunities that may be relevant for your application. Then you need to go to the next stage of now improving. So now we are deep in the resubmission, and you've decided that you're improving the application, your proposal, and you're resubmitting it. So that is where we are. So you are now resubmitting. You've decided you're going to resubmit as A1. You need to, first of all, develop a resubmission plan. A resubmission plan, what I see most people do is based on the comments that come from the summary statement, they develop a resubmission plan based on that, where they put on this side, they put the comments and what is required. On the right-hand side, they put a plan of how they will respond. If maybe it was a lack of preliminary data, they put a comment, lack of preliminary data, we will get preliminary data from maybe our partner, or we will do a rapid pilot study to help us get preliminary data, or maybe there's preliminary data that has come up between the time that the application was done and the time the resubmission is being done. Maybe there's new data that has come in. So you're able to put that. Also, you need to decide how and whether to address the critiques or the reviewer concerns. You need to decide how you will address them. And I was just alluding to that with my example of how to address when the comment is about lack of preliminary data. You need to think about what parts are you going to rewrite. A literature review, additional preliminary studies, and how you're going to be addressing the comments. You need to request peer feedback and revise again. Peer feedback is where you go to other co-investigators or other researchers, you request their feedback, ask them to review the comments against your proposal, and ask them for feedback on how you can be able to address some of those things. Remember, as you decide to resubmit your application, you have only 3 goals. Goal number 1 is that you need to address all reviewer concerns. So your main goal is to respond thoroughly. Make sure you respond thoroughly and deliver to the reviewers exactly what they're asking for. And what they're asking for is what is contained in the summary statement. So if they have said the missing expertise, make sure as you respond, you've addressed that concern. Say, how have you addressed that concern of missing expertise? Have you got a new researcher that will fill that gap? So your number 1 and most important goal is to address all reviewer concerns, however minor it is. The other goal is that you need to be more responsive and not be rebuttal and over being rebuttal. Remember, as we said, the reviewers are on the same side as you. They are not your opposition. So when you're resubmitting your application, you need to be more responsive over, there's a way you can respond to something in a way that you're attacking, or you're arguing, or you're defending, or being defensive. So you need to be responsive, focus on making improvements and not on arguing, and providing feedback on this is the feedback, this is the improvement I've made, this is why it is. Also, value reviewer input. Remember, at the time the reviewer is reviewing your application, they are your customer. They are your customer. And in the business field, they say customer is always right. So even in this case, the reviewer is right. There is no time that the reviewer will be wrong, especially if you want to be successful in your grant applications and submission and resubmissions. Treat the reviewer as your customer. Make sure that you give the customer what the customer wants so that you are successful. So those are the 3 goals that you need to always have in your mind. Then how do you address common reviewer critiques? Remember, we've looked at this that commonly being given by reviewers, being in research, being in incremental, research being unclear or unfocused, being overambitious in scope, lack of preliminary data, or missing expertise. So here are just a few tips of how you can be able to address this. If it is incremental research, if the comment is that this research is incremental and is not adding value to the field, you need to show, you need to emphasize the broad significance. So you need to go back to your significance section of your grant application and add more information or strengthen information that is there. You need to show why this research is unique and the impact that it will create. Clarify the novelty and impact of your approach. Also just position your work within the current literature and demonstrate the gap that this research will fill, and use strong justification in the significance section. That is one of the ways that you can be able to address the critique of research being incremental. If they say your research is unclear or is as unfocused aims, you need to align, you need to go back to the proposal and align your aims with your overall project goal. Ensure that your specific aims also line up with your hypothesis. Ensure that there's clarity in that relationship, and do all it takes to eliminate vagueness or redundant aims. If there are aims that they say are not, that aims that can is integrated in another aim, then you need to integrate and remove redundant aims. If your applications is of ambitious in scope, in reviewing, you need to be more realistic, and you need to focus on achievable objectives. Remember, achievable objectives with regards to budget and time. Those are the two issues that need to guide you very strongly. You can propose such that in their eyes is a 5-year research, but you're proposing that you'll do it in 3 years to check that. Then budget, proposing certain some work packages and when they're looking at the budget, they're not seeing everything that is needed to deliver on those work packages. They're not seeing the budget in the budget document, and therefore they will be wondering, how will you deliver on everything under this work package and all that. So also you need to break long-term goals into phased activities, but also emphasize feasibility and realistic milestones. If they say you lack preliminary data, you need to include preliminary findings. How do you include preliminary findings? First of all, you can strengthen the evidence, maybe even using existing and current literature. You can do a rapid assessment to get that preliminary data. You can also you can design short-term pilot or usability studies to generate preliminary data, but you can also use literature of partner data if your own is limited. So from time to time, you will realize that in your applications, you're partnering with another university, you're partnering with another research institution. If they have data that they have generated, you can actually include when you're responding to resubmit. Maybe you missed out and you did not include that data, and in your own institution, you don't have it. Then you can ask your partners if they have that data or literature, then they can provide that. If they say that your application is missing expertise, then you need to add collaborators with complementary skills to address the knowledge gaps. You need to highlight the role of co-investigators, highlight what role will your mentors do or your advisors, but also most importantly, you need to include a capacity building plan. So usually you'll realize that when you're responding, now you're resubmitting your application. You've done everything, now you're resubmitting. You will be required to write a one-page introduction. So one-page introduction introduces the reviewers again to your document, your grant application. But most importantly, this one-page introduction needs to tell the reviewers, these are the comments that you gave me, these are the issues that you raised, these were your concerns, this is how I have addressed them. This is how I have addressed. So you need to capture all this information in this one-page document. And obviously, you need to start by thanking the reviewers. So briefly express gratitude, acknowledge their efforts in reviewing your application and the insights that they've provided. This is usually just a sentence, one sentence. For example, you can say, we thank the reviewers for their thoughtful and constructive feedback, which has greatly strengthened our revised proposal. That is just a sentence. So this is really, really important. It's basically the first thing that you write in your one-page introduction. Nothing else should come. Yes.
5 more minutes, please.
Okay. So Then, so after thanking the reviewers, you need to summarize the changes. So you summarize the main critiques that they raised. You then also summarize what improvements that you've made, and then frame the changes that you've made as solutions and not as fixes. Then you need to go bullet by bullet based on the comments that they gave you. Sometimes these comments also come in the form of bullets. You also need to respond in that manner. Bullet 1, this is the issue, this is the way I've responded, and like that. Then you need to reference updated sections. If once you've addressed all the concerns, some in the proposal, definitely the issues that you've addressed are in the proposal. You need to show the reviewer that where you've addressed that thing. For example, if there was a question around methodology, then you need to say detailed rationale for methodology added under methods on page 7 to 8. Then you need to be responsive in your strategic resubmission. You need to respond to every reviewer comment, even the minor ones. You need to respond. Then you need to organize your responses in bullet points. I've said that. You need to support changes with evidence. If you've added preliminary data or literature, then you need to add all that information so that it is clear to them. You need to interpret the critiques beyond the surface. Sometimes you need to read between the lines to be able to understand the critiques that they have shared. You also need to communicate with a positive or collaborative tone, and you need to revise your application with a purpose. So don't just fix it, but improve the proposal in totality. Use the critiques that they gave you to clarify your science, your strengthen your logic, and sharpen the objectives. Here are a few examples of when, for example, the critique is in. Let me go to this one. Investigator. Given the complexity of the proposed experiments, a statistical consultant might be helpful so that more complex statistical analysis than those proposed could be performed. So this comes to you as a reviewer comment. Then how do you respond to it? So you can be able to see the response. A statistician, Dr. XY, has been added. Yes, then you say, what does the statistician add? So it's very, very critical to be able to respond to all the review comments. I'll pass these sections and just go take a quick run on the checklist as my time comes to an end. So before you submit, you need to carefully review the summary statement. Again, you need to review the summary statement, identify the major and minor critiques, and put them side by side and see how to respond to them. You need to discuss feedback with a mentor or a colleague. You need to talk to the program officer for clarity and advice. You need to revise your aims and scope for visibility. You need to gather or strengthen preliminary data. You need to address every critique clearly and constructively. You need to update your biosketches. If maybe time has passed, maybe it's 6 months, your biosketch, something might have changed in it. You need to update that, or even team roles if needed. Then you need to write a clear and focused one-page introduction that I've talked about. Also, it's important to proofread for clarity, structure, and reviewer navigation. Then final advice, I think being resilient is the most important thing. All the most successful researchers have received rejection so many times that they cannot count. So even as an early career researcher, you need to be resilient and know that this is your research life or career life, or what you'll be dealing with, for the rest of your research career. Peer feedback sharpens your thinking. Sometimes you can even do mock reviews or writing groups. You need to track your revisions and lessons learned so that you create your own learning loop. It's important to learn from what you're doing. So it's important to document what lessons have you learned in an application process. Then you need to respond to every critique, even the minor ones, and that's the end of it. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meshach. Let's give him a round of applause virtually. Okay, so thank you so much, team, for listening. Now we've come to the session of question and answers. And we didn't have so many questions on the chat, apart from the question of asking how to access the links and whether the presentation will be shared. And I'm glad Topista has answered that by saying that we'll be able to get the presentation both on our YouTube channel and also on the community of practice. And thank you for the members, the participants who've already accessed the community of practice. I've seen quite a number of you have joined and have updated their details there and are actually waiting to see the presentation on that platform. So I'm going to ask one question, Meshach, that has been asked. Is it only a certain fund threshold that get feedback? I have never gotten any review comments with my rejected applications. At one point, I even wrote to one committee asking, and in vain. I'm a postdoctoral researcher who has been successful on a few proposals in tens of thousands. So Meshach, you can answer that. And as Meshach is answering, in case there's anyone who has another question, maybe you can just raise up your hand and then we'll give you an opportunity. Go ahead, Meshach.
Thank you so much for the question. The general practice is that when you do an application, you need to get feedback. But remember, in my presentation, there is somewhere I say proposals can be triaged. When your proposal is triaged, it means it lacked many things. So they would not waste their time giving comments to 36,000 proposals that are submitted. The first level is they will remove these ones, put this side. The preliminary review of the proposals. Then they'll take it to administrative, where they will also check, does it have everything? What is missing? The technical aspects. If it is non-compliant, then with that, you will also not, most likely you will not receive feedback. Then it will go to the third stage, where it will be given to reviewers. If it is given to reviewers and it goes to the panel and it's triaged, then that is the last place that your proposal will get to. And at that point, perhaps they still have over 10,000 proposals, and it will be a bit challenging for them to respond to all and give feedback. But the practice is that every application should receive feedback. But maybe sometimes because of numbers and because of that the sieving process or screening of the proposals, maybe your proposals fell through at the first, second, or triage level of the process. And therefore, maybe that is some reason why sometimes you may not receive feedback. I'm seeing a question here by Bruno. In a resubmission, aside from addressing the reviewer's comments, is it acceptable to add new information and improve other sections of the proposal that you felt is weakly written? Would making such changes cause the proposal to be treated as a new submission, or will it still be considered a resubmission? Now, the practice is when you are revising your proposal, and remember I said the reviews are not comprehensive. The review that and the comments that you receive from the reviewers is not comprehensive. So feel free to go into the proposal, make changes to sections that you feel were not tightly written together, or maybe the sentence structure is unclear and things like that. Feel free to change those ones. And when you're submitting, you are resubmitting in totality. So it will not be treated as a new application, but you've just strengthened different areas. Maybe there are areas that they didn't point out in their comments or they raised as concerns. But if you go into the proposal and you see a sentence that does not sit well, feel free to paraphrase, rewrite, and all that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Meshach. Then there is still another question. I am wondering if there is any winning grant request template.
I think most of the applications we do based on donor templates. Really, when we are writing, we respond to the questions that the donor has put in the template. So I think the most important thing is how well do you respond? to the questions, but also the information that you're putting there, and the way you're writing, and the if it is research methods, or if it is your research approach, you have to write it in a way that will be very clear to the donor. So I would not say there's a winning grant request template, because every donor will give you the template through which you will be responding to the questions or filling sections that they're asking you to fill. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to just read last one from Veronica. Thank you for your presentation. Is it advisable to resubmit the same proposal to the same funding agent after 4 years of receiving the feedback? I understand things might have changed and the new application will have updates, but is it advisable? Also, though it is not the focus of this session, can one submit multiple applications to the same funder? One is a co-PI and another one is a PI for a smaller amount. Meshak?
Yeah, thank you. Let me start with the first question. When you submitted, let's say we are in 2025 and you submitted in 2021, there are donors that issue a given call on an annual basis. So you are very sure that next year they will do the call. So if it is a call like that, then you can, but most importantly, always read the notice for funding opportunity. Read it thoroughly based on your last application that you did. So sometimes the donor will issue a call that might be closely related to what you submitted. If you look at donors like Welcome, every issue a call, even they issue calls twice a year, but you will realize that a call maybe on climate and health that they issued 3 years ago, they are still issuing something on climate and health, but they will be focusing on a different aspect of health issue. So definitely now you cannot resubmit the same application. So you will have to read every funding guideline that you're responding to. But most importantly, you can tweak an application that you did in the past and you use it in a current application. On the second question was about submitting as a PI and co-PI to the same donor. I think that is something that is practicable depending on the donor. So this is a case-by-case basis based on each donor. I think, for example, Welcome, I have seen us submit even 3 applications as an institution, where this department will submit to, based on the same call, they will submit on this, another department will submit. So it is possible. You can even liaise with external institutions, where in your institutions you are the PI, in an external consortium, you are a co-investigator. It is still allowable, but this is dependent on each and every donor. There are donors who would not allow you to submit 2 applications.
Okay. Thank you so much, Meshak. Maybe I can give an opportunity to one person, or one person, because we have 7 minutes, in case you may want to ask a question directly. I can see we had 2 people who had raised up their hands. Saida, will you want to ask a direct question?
Sorry, I didn't raise up my hand. Sorry.
Thank you. Then there is Nioni. Nioni, will you want to go ahead and ask the question? Okay. Anyone else who may want to ask to hear his or her voice by asking a question? Okay, I can see Umulkar Abdillahi. Go ahead. Okay, maybe you'll need to be given a rights. Fred Wawuyo. Okay, Fred, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
I'm Fred Wawiyo from Uganda Christian University. I'm a PhD student from Kisii University in my final preparation for graduation. And I'm interested in this. However, I'm trying to scroll through the website where we are supposed to register as new comers in this. How I'm seeing fields that are a little, you know, they are not so wide, and I'm just seeing fields like, for example, grant management, data collection, utilization, and analysis. Are these the only fields that we can register through, or what's the way forward of how to register here?
Okay, thank you. I think I'm going to answer that. Yeah, so in our virtual learning academy, we have different courses. We have courses that range from grant writing, data collection. The courses are actually focused around the thematic areas of APHRC. But as you do the courses, we always ask for your feedback on areas that you feel that we can add. And also through the community of practice, we also get areas that you may want capacity building on. So we encourage you to keep talking to us in case you feel that there is an area that you'll want us to focus on more, then we'll be able to do that. But thank you for that. Keep on checking the site. You'll be able to see more courses being rolled out. Thank you, Fred.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
Thank you. Did Umalker get back to us? Okay, so I think we still have 3 more minutes. Any other burning question? Okay, so I thank you so much for joining us, and I believe that you've gotten good information, good insights from the webinar, and thank you so much, Meshach Mboi, for giving us that presentation. So as Topista had indicated earlier, you can get more materials on our YouTube channel, and join the community of practice. Ask so many questions there. We'll have experts who will be able to answer your questions. And keep on following us at our website, our social media handles. We always do communication there, and in case we have opportunities, that's where we put where we can be able to, you can be able to engage us. So at this juncture, I'm going to return the mic back to Topista, who invited us to this, so that she can give us the closing remarks and tell us what next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard, and thank you, Meshach, for this great presentation. Just to repeat what I had said, you will get the recording that will be uploaded within a week in our YouTube channel. And also the presentation that was done by Meshach, you will also have the opportunity to access it in our COP platform. So look out for these two in a week's time, where you'll be able to access in both platforms. And thank you so much for joining us, and wishing you a lovely afternoon, morning, from wherever you are. Asanteni sana, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
and bye-bye.